and introduce our next presenters. So Dana Thompson is our next presenter who will be presenting using the DIG method for data literacy, or the DIG method.
All right, so I'm going to attempt to share my screen. So please tell me what you see.
I do see the presentation.
Wonderful. Well, then I'll get started. So, hey y'all, my name is Dana Thompson, and I am a research and instruction librarian and liaison to the College of Business at Murray State University in Murray, Kentucky. While teaching journalism students who actually fall under our College of Business at Murray State, I developed a method for evaluating digital images called the DIG method, so the Digital Image Guide. In this short presentation, I'll explain how you can use a modified version of the DIG method for data literacy, specifically with data visualizations and other images that rely on data, such as charts, graphs, and infographics. As a research and instruction librarian, I often incorporate lessons on data literacy and visual literacy into my instruction sessions for business students. So in these sessions, I focus on teaching students how to read the photographs, charts, and infographics that they encounter in databases such as IBISWorld and Statista, and news sources such as the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. So this obviously combines two elements, visual literacy and data literacy. When I think about data literacy, I use this definition that it is the ability to ask and answer real-world questions from large and small data sets through an inquiry process. Really, we're focusing on the ethical use of data as well. So you can focus on practical and creative skills with the ability to extend the knowledge of specialist data handling skills according to specific goals, right? So selecting, cleaning, analyzing, visualizing, critiquing, and interpreting data, as well as communicating stories from data and using data as a part of the decision-making process. So visual literacy, I take my definition from the ACRL Visual Literacy Standards. I am currently on the task force for the Visual Literacy Standards, which is creating a companion document to the framework that were published in 2016. So when we think about visual literacy, we're thinking about a set of abilities that enables an individual to effectively find, interpret, evaluate, use, and create images. These are things that these skills help a learner understand and analyze the contextual, cultural, ethical, aesthetic, intellectual, and technical components involved in the production and use of visual materials. So we like to think of a visually literate individual as both a critical consumer of visual media and a competent contributor to a body of shared knowledge and culture. So the lesson that I developed is what I'm going to dive into next. So this will be published in Teaching Business Information Literacy. It should come out next year from ACRL. So the lesson that I created has two main learning outcomes. Students will be able to determine whether or not a data visualization needs to be evaluated using the DIG method. And by the end of the lesson, students will be able to evaluate a data visualization. So chart or graph using the DIG for data method. There is a planning component of this, right? So how many participants? Ideally, 10 to 40 is usually what I teach with. And the audience is undergraduate students. And there are a few things that I suggest that you do to prepare for this lesson, right? So you're going to want to define data literacy and visual literacy. It would be helpful for you to provide good and bad examples of data visualizations, or if you're going to use a chart, graph, or infographic, use one of those. You'll need computers with web access for students, and then usually you'll need some type of projector and a screen for the librarian. These are usually something that I can do in a one-shot session, right? So prior to instruction, you need to decide what type of image you're going to use, right? If you're going to use something other than a data visualization, then every time I say data visualization, just think about the other type of image that you're going to use in the directions. So what I usually do is I start with a mini lecture on the topic. So I talk about using data in visual imagery, and I talk about the different types of data visualizations that students will encounter on the internet, right? So a lot of these things can be encountered on social media as well. I'm talking usually about screen-mediated images. You can also use these examples here that you found previously of your good and bad data visualizations to make your point. The second thing that I have that you do is ask the students to provide some examples. Generally, this can be, anything, 5-minute search. You can provide some websites for them to take a look at, and then they find them and you'll project them for the students to examine. Then you turn to the main component of the lesson, right? So you're going to project the data visualization that you have selected for the exercise. You'll allow students to answer questions included in the Dig for Data method. So you do want to check in with students to judge their progress. And after they've worked independently, you'll do a think, pair, share, where the students confer with a partner for 5 minutes or so, and they'll discuss the similarities and differences in their answers. What you'll then want to do is report back and have a closing discussion. So you can bring the group back together. You can ask a couple of pairs to share so that the class can see other examples and applications. It's really nice if you have the time to allow for discussion here. If you don't, if you're stuck with a closer to, a 30 or 40-minute lesson, you can skip it and maybe reiterate it in some type of communication with the class afterwards. I always like to restate my learning outcomes and check for comprehension, summarize the lesson, and then hopefully students will feel comfortable enough to ask some questions. So what is the actual Dig method for data? So there are 4 components that relate to the stages of reading. Analyzing is the first. So there are 3 questions here that I have the students answer. I have them review and describe the image that they're using that involves data. We ask, who, what, when, and where do you see represented in the data visualization? Reviewing the text, right? So what text and textual information is provided? And then also, how does the data visualization make you feel? Affectation is something that is an important component of visuals, and so data visualizations, especially those loud and chaotic ones, can make you kind of feel a certain way. The next step is interpreting. So who is the source, right? So who created it, and how does that different than who owns the image versus who published it? Thinking about the message. What is the message? Who is the intended audience? And then searching for other online sources that further contextualize the data visualization. So thinking about when was the data visualization created, and what other types of cultural impacts, historical or political information inform the data. The third step is evaluation. So think back to your first reaction of the data visualization, and then I have the students evaluate how might their reaction impact how they view it. So first they've identified what their reaction is, and now they're thinking about how does that reaction impact their viewership. Referring back to the other websites, if it's been published in multiple places. So has the data been misrepresented or manipulated? And then assessing the reliability and accuracy of the image, right? So is the data reliable? Why or why not? The fourth step is comprehending. So what judgments can you make about the data visualization based on your evaluations above? Do any of your biases or points of view impact how you view the data visualization? If so, how? And thinking, lastly, what is the purpose of the data visualization? Is it meant to inform, to instruct, to sell, entertain, to enjoy, and or to persuade? and why do you think so? This is the question that I think is the most important for the students to answer. So if you ever find that you're running out of time with the dig method, you can direct the students to hopefully not skip too many steps, but this is the question that I think is at the heart of the exercise. The references are here, and then this is my contact information. And I know that I sped through that a little bit, so if you have any questions, please let me know.
Beat me to the 5-minute warning.
I'm sorry about that.
You're good. Alrighty, thank you so much, Dana. I do have a question. Somebody says came in late. What does DIG stand for?
The Digital Image Guide.
Okay, thank you. Shannon asks, do you have any visualizations that you like to use for this class, like good examples?
So the things that come to mind are more like the bad examples. Bad examples are really easy to find. When I have seen some really good examples come out of Johns Hopkins, of course, like relating to COVID-19. And if you pop your information into chat or shoot me an email, I can do a better job of sending you a few places that I do use for good data visualizations. It'll just take me a little bit to find those and send them to you. I'm happy to do it.
One of those things, I have the data visualizations from presentations from predecessors that I use as examples. So. All right, and Kalila asks, I really liked the emphasis on how users might feel. There's much to be explored about the effects of data literacy. Can you talk more about that in this regard?
Sure. So at the beginning of the slideshow, so I'm going to just pop back to what I included at the beginning with the COVID-19. And so when I think about good data visualizations, I mean, these I do think have been well done. And when you think about how they make you feel, like these images don't necessarily, in me at least, when I look at the image, it doesn't necessarily elicit a response. But when I look at the headlines, COVID-19 daily new confirmed deaths, daily new confirmed deaths per million people, I do start to have feelings about the information that's included. And so if you can get students to slow down and recognize that data is influential, and it's influential in so many different ways. Yes, it contributes to our knowledge, but it can also contribute to policy. And one of the ways it can do that is by eliciting a response from us. And so if you are concerned by things that you see in data visualizations, you can hopefully take steps to get more involved. And I think that that's kind of the next component, right? It's like, okay, so I feel something about this. What am I going to do about it? And it also has to do with manipulation. So if you see that there is an image that elicits a strong angry response, right? That can usually indicate to you that there might be something wrong with that data. It might be clickbait. It might be misinformation that's been put out there to, increase somebody else's ad revenue. So those are the kinds of considerations I try to tell my students to think about when we do talk about emotions or kind of that affective dimension.
Fantastic point. Another anonymous attendee asks, is this taught more as a one-shot within a discipline-specific class, or do you teach it as a standalone? What ways have you found to be most successful in getting buy-in from instructors to be able to teach this for their students? And I can repeat either.
So usually I'm doing it in a one-shot. I've been most successful with my journalism classes. I have made some inroads with my economics classes, but it really, for me, depends on, in terms of instructor buy-in. I kind of have to tell. I've done it two ways before. I've done it where it's a standalone, and I say, hey, can I come talk to your class about data visualizations? And they like that because a lot of disciplines aren't really taught about how to evaluate visuals. I've had more success though when I try to incorporate this lesson into like okay, I'm going to come talk to your class about using the data, the databases, the library's databases. You want them to pull images from Statista and New York Times. Well, then we need to have this lesson on evaluating data visualizations. So I try to package it. And that has led to some success. I think it also depends on your relationship with your professor.
Thank you. Alrighty. There might be folks typing in. There's none in the Q&A yet, but we still do have 5 minutes until the break. Again, thank you so much, Dana.
Sure. And again, my email is right here. So if you guys do have questions, apologies for racing through it. But it will be published as an article coming out next year in Teaching Business Information Literacy. So if you want, a preprint of that or anything, just shoot me a message. I'd be happy to share that lesson with you. So.